glasses. Okay? Oh no, puke. Hi guys. So today I'm filming my baby's 1 month update. This is our baby story, Ember. A lot of people asked us where we got the name Story from. And there is a bit of a story. We called her Story because as we were leaving the hospital after finding out we were having a baby girl, my husband said, "Oh, she's our new Story." And we both really liked the name, and that is how we've ended up with our own little story. She is now 1 month old. It has flown by, and I'm just going to do a little update for you now. So I'll start off with how Story actually came out. As you know from my previous videos, I had intended to have a natural home birth in a water pool, and unfortunately that didn't work out as planned, and I actually ended up going to hospital for an emergency C-section. So it was a complete contrast to what I had planned and prepped for, but that is the way of labour and birth. You never know what's going to happen. I intend to make another video entirely about my birth experience and the labour, so stay tuned for that video, but for now this is just about the update of the last month. So I spent the first 4 days of Story's life, we were in hospital, and we went home on the 5th day. We actually ended up staying an extra day in the hospital after Story was born because she wasn't gaining enough weight, so the doctors didn't feel comfortable to discharge us until she was at a more suitable weight. Are you waking up? After babies are born, they actually lose up to 10% of their birth weight when they first come out. At the time, I was solely breastfeeding Story, and I continued to breastfeed her when I got back home. I was breastfeeding solely for 16 days after Story's birth, and she was feeding on some days up to 12 to 15 times a day. I'm actually no longer breastfeeding Story due to a lack of milk production on my part. She was not gaining weight after she came home, and her weekly nurse visits, she actually lost quite a bit of weight on one of the visits, and it was after that that we decided we needed to look into other options. I have since found out that actually having an emergency C-section can actually affect your ability to breastfeed, and I think that had happened to me. Story seemed very unsettled and angry when it came to feed times, and it was like she couldn't get enough. I was feeding every hour and it got very uncomfortable and stressful. It wasn't something I could see myself continuing doing at the risk of baby Story's health. The main thing for me in the end was the fact that she was actually eating food, and knowing that she was getting the right amount of milk each day at each feed was so much more reassuring than just putting her on my boob and hoping for the best. She would stay on there for up to 45 minutes, and I didn't have any idea whether or not she was actually drinking anything, and as it turns out, the fact that she was losing weight, she probably wasn't. She's now on formula. We started her on Aptamil, and she took it fine straight away. The first bottle we gave her, she just drained, which is another indication that she was probably very hungry and wasn't getting enough from my breast milk alone. We found though that with the formula she got a bit of reflux, and for about 3 days after each bottle she would just spit it up. So we moved her onto a Aptamil Comfort formula, which is specifically for reflux and babies that struggle to keep the milk down, and it did work, and she seemed a lot happier on that one. We've since been doing some research into other formulas, and she's now drinking a soy-based formula, which again she took first time and has managed to keep all of it down. All of her feeds that she's had since, the reflux has almost disappeared. We thought that maybe all the formulas would be very similar, but looking at the nutritional values on the tins is actually not the case. This formula that she's on now is actually half the sugar than the first formula that she was on, so maybe that was the cause of the reflux, that it was just too much for her to take. So she drinks 3 to 4 ounces 6 times a day now, and she sleeps like this in between each feed, and she seems much more content. So we've been getting to know little baby Story for the last month, and she seems to be quite an easy baby at the moment. She only really cries in between feeds or if she's got a nappy that needs changing, and after bottle or nappy has been sorted, she's just asleep. She loves being in the car, she loves her car seat, she loves going on a car ride. As soon as the car begins to move, she will just go to sleep and stay like that until we get to our destination. She also loves being in her sling. Anything that makes her feel cosy and squished up and comfortable, she just loves. We've noticed that when Story was first born, her hair was a lot darker. She had quite dark, almost black hair when she first came out, and that stayed that way for a couple of weeks. Now at 1 month, her hair has gone a lot lighter and she's turned a lot fairer. She's also in the baby acne stage at the moment, and she's got some pimples and red marks on her face, which I have read will disappear and fade after a couple of weeks, and it's perfectly normal for babies to experience that. She's still very tiny and she's still in her newborn clothes at a month old, although she has gone back up to her birth weight now, which is great. We introduced Story to our dog the first day that we brought Story back home from the hospital. Our dog Eden doesn't really fuss about Story at all. In fact, she would rather just not be near her. She does go up to her and has a couple of sniffs, and then she'll just go away again, and she just kind of ignores her. And she was like that from the start, so there wasn't really any jealousy there or any issues that we had to deal with. Eden's just carried on as normal and kind of just ignores Story. That may change when Story's calling around and chasing after her though. As for me, at 1 month postpartum after an emergency C-section, I'm feeling generally fine in myself, although my belly hasn't gone back down to its pre-pregnancy state yet. I would say I still look about 3 or 4 months pregnant, and my belly feels very soft, like a marshmallow or like a soft pillow. It's very squishy and definitely needs some toning up. Because I had a C-section, I'm not allowed to work out for at least 6 weeks afterwards, so I've got some time to wait before I can start doing anything like that. The actual incision for the cesarean is very neat. It's about 7 inches long, a bikini line cut, so it won't be noticeable at all, which is great. And the incision site has healed up fine, very well, but my belly around it, just underneath my belly button, it feels numb and it doesn't feel like my skin at all. It's really weird, and if I push on my belly I do feel a bit of pressure, so that's why I'm still taking it easy and not doing any workouts or anything like that, because of the internal damage that still has to heal. Because of where my C-section scar is, if I do decide to have another baby after Story, I can actually try and have a natural birth. I wouldn't have to go straight in for a cesarean again, which is good news. So my weight gain after having Story, all of the weight that I put on during pregnancy, 13 kilos in total, 9 kilos of that was just fully baby weight and fluid, and this past month I've lost 2 kilos just naturally, not doing anything at all. So I have 2 kilos left to lose to be back to my pre-pregnancy weight. So overall, the last month has been a real whirlwind of emotions and tasks and learning to be parents. We are enjoying being a mummy and a daddy, most definitely. It has been a massive change to our life, obviously, but a welcome one. Okay, so that is it for now. Hope you enjoyed this video and meeting baby Story Ember. I'm going to end the video, as I ended all my other pregnancy updates, with a postpartum belly shot. Bye!